Peace, family. Welcome to another episode. This your boy Rich, Underground Railroad Productions, with the brother Red Pill, out here enjoying the Harlem Nights, doing some work, doing what we got to do. We gonna get right to it, Red Pill. The talk of the town, the talk of the black community, the talk of pop culture right now is this R. Kelly documentary that was recently aired on Lifetime. We're gonna get right into it, Red. Right into the questions. I'm sure you've seen the documentary. I've seen it. Everybody's seen it at this point.
I didn't see the last part. That comes out tonight.
Okay, watching the reaction so far. I mean, and your timeline is lit on Instagram. I was reading, I don't post as much, so I'm reading your timeline. I'm like, damn. Watching the reactions and seeing all the feedback from this, would you say this is social engineering at its finest, people being mad conveniently? Or is this something that pretty much is just triggering something that, the elephant in the room, something that's deep within our subconscious, something that's real and authentic? Well, is this real or fake right now, Red?
There's a little bit of fake outrage, fake, Negro outrage. But to balance that out, it is definitely a trigger. People are being triggered in ways that is understandable, So there's a lot of people jumping on bandwagons, and just following the bandwagon. But there are some honest triggering taking place where people are utilizing their experiences and a lot of their pain and a lot of their, anger, and they're directing it towards Robert Kelly. All right? So he's being crucified. He's being, they're putting him on a cross, and he's definitely triggering a lot of people's emotions. I've spoken to a few sisters as well over the few days, and yeah, they're triggered.
Indeed. So, when you say the sisters are triggered and a lot of people are triggered, R. Kelly is considered, when you have songs like I Believe I Can Fly, when you have songs like The Greatest, these songs are sung in elementary school, sung in churches. Actually, a lot of these songs are sung at funerals as well. So, I mean, R. Kelly, this is like one of the greatest of all time when it comes to R&B legends. And we have a habit of, we want to protect our legends. We want to protect our greats. We want to protect our heroes. And when we hear the stories about them, whether it's Michael Jackson, O.J. Simpson's, R. Kelly, we automatically think that because of what we've been through as a people, that there's some type of conspiracy going on. So do you think, because of white supremacy, do you think white supremacy has blinded us from predators in our community or from killers in our community? Everybody said OJ was innocent in '95 or whatever the year was. ESPN aired something last year, then people was like, oh shit, I want to take that back. That nigga's guilty. So everybody was saying R. Kelly was innocent back then. Now they're saying, yo, this nigga was guilty. Talk to me about white supremacy and how that might have blinded us from the predators in our community.
Well, in the case of R. Kelly, as in the case of MJ, our artists are immortals. People don't understand the power of music, and I speak about that on occasion because I try my best to explain to the family how those of us who exemplify certain kind of arts and sciences are somewhat removed from the collective and given this immunity where you can do no wrong. So entertainers and artists to that degree have a sense of protection because they're not seen as an average nigga. They're not the average Negro. They're elevated. They have a talent and a gift, and that gift feeds the world. And in black society, we tend to lionize and, and I'm talking about even more so than we would do a politician. We tend to lionize our entertainers because keep in mind, the entertainers do what? They entertain white supremacy, black supremacy, or they entertain everybody, right? So we hold them up, we hoist them up, we put them on a pedestal, and we put them out into society and say, these are our representatives, these are the great ones amongst us, these are our black diamonds, right? They're going to spread our word. It's almost like spokesmen for the race or for the nation and whatnot. They spread the good word. They help clean up the besmirched character that black people. Hold on a minute, family. You gotta, ain't on my bad, bro. Like, what are we doing?
It's all good, family. It's all good.
Come on, man.
I appreciate the love. I appreciate the love, family. It's all good.
We gotta, we have to understand that our people, they put them out there, and they, black society, they put their stars, they put their athletes, they put their actors, they put their entertainers, they put their rappers, they put their singers into society to help clean up the negative images that average black folks have. We have a besmirched image around the world. Now, with that being said, when those people who we hold up and we put out there mess up, two things begin to happen. There's a group of us that don't care about none of that stuff. If you're wrong, you're wrong. We're going to weigh you and we're going to judge you the same way that we would judge the average brother or sister. Then there's a contingency amongst us who say to themselves, well, if he's wrong, I'm still gonna stand by him. You understand? I'm still gonna stand by him strong. So he could be wrong, but our people will stand by the person as if they're strong, because at the end of the day, the people that are sometimes standing and pushing that person and saying, look, we gotta look past that shit. They don't have much to offer to the world. So we stand by these characters, even though they're wrong. We want because keep in mind, that goes back to the image that these characters or these stars can do no wrong. Some people buy into that and they see them as infallible. They see them like immortals. So if something happens where there's stories about Michael Jackson being inappropriate or being a sexual deviant, there are those amongst us who can never fathom something like that happen, even though they see the signs. Even though they see the signs that this man may have been a little fruity. So when it comes to Kels, even though in his music, even though he's telling you I'm a deviant, not I'm a horny black man and I just like having sex. No, he's saying I'm a deviant.
I'm the Pied Piper. Pied Piper of R&B, he called himself.
I mean, that came after the accusations and whatnot. He became the Pied Piper. But in the music, age ain't nothing but a number.
Yeah, facts.
Your body is calling. Seems like you're ready. Seems like who's ready? All of these subtleties, all of these clues and whatnot, and people tend to look over that and they gloss over that, because what happens when we're entertained, when we're too busy dancing, when that Pied Piper is blowing their flute, there's a level, it's like religion being an opiate. So the same way that you look past the preacher, the same way that you look past the goddamn pastor, the same way that you look past the archbishop, because keep in mind, the people are still they're still sedated by the status. They're still sedated by the image. They're still sedated by the personality. And they do not want to fess up, and they do not want to face the possibility that this motherfucker might be human the same way. They might put their pants on the same way that you do. So has white supremacy blurred our
perception of our heroes?
Our perception of our heroes. I can't say white supremacy, so to say. I won't say white supremacy. If we're gonna go right to it, let's get right into it and talk about who's really behind, our artists of today. Who controls the media? Who controls Hollywood? who controls the TV, who controls that aspect, but also who controls San Fernando Valley, but also who got ran out of countries historically because of the perversion, because of the pedophilia, because of all of these things, because of the pornography. Remember, they were pushing pornography in the Stone Ages. We're talking about the small hats. We're talking about that we were exposed to the practices that take place in their circumcisions during the debate a few years ago. They do oral circumcisions, meaning that they put the penis in their mouth and circumcise it, the rabbi. So these are the people who've been pushing and normalizing what we know as perverted behaviors, what we know as what they call sexual deviancy. They're the ones driving the bus. They funded. They signed R. Kelly afterwards. They gave him millions of dollars. They gave him maybe you should do an album called The Chocolate Factory. Hey, maybe you should run with this whole thing and call yourself the Pied Piper. Hey, we're going to set you up on tour and whatnot so you can get your thing going, because what did they keep saying in the documentary? He was the money maker. Who was he making money for? Let's forget about the bodyguards and his baby mama.
Record label.
The record label. Who runs the record label? But when it comes to sexual deviancy, going back to what I've been telling people on Instagram all day, Black America, you're going to be forced to look into the mirror, okay? Black America, you're going to be forced to ask yourself, have you become more sexually deviant than you were the day before you watched that child pornography with R. Kelly? Has black culture fallen and become more sexual deviant, thus opening the door for more predators in our community after you saw that tape? Did you square up? Did you clean up? Did you become more of an upright citizen? No. We fell deeper into a hole. Pornography blew up. Prostitution online blew up. The same town, the same city where this child sex thing came from, the word thought, got introduced to us by Chief Keef. That's Chicago. That's the home of the thoughts. So did we grow up in it? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. And who's behind the perversion? Who's behind San Fernando Valley? Who's behind all of the porn sites that have 80 categories? Now, they used to have 10 categories. Now they got urination, fisting, granny porn, amputee porn, all kind of shit. All kind of stuff, pardon me. And everybody indulges.
Well, let me say this right now. I've heard the argument that we have gotten our perversion from Western culture.
Greco-Roman culture.
Greco-Roman culture. Now, if prostitution is one of the oldest professions in the world, do you agree?
No.
Selling pussy ain't the oldest profession in the world. It ain't, you know what I'm saying?
What were they selling it for? Cowrie shells?
Well, whatever the currency was of that time.
Okay.
But, you know, currency changes throughout times. It becomes different.
It's been said that prostitution is the oldest profession.
So if that's the case, Red, and let's say the white race is 6,000 years old, as our historians say, then this shit's been around, selling pussy's been around, we've been around over 100,000 years. This shit is way older than the person we're blaming our behavior on.
Yes.
So is that a cop-out to say this being that 6,000 years old, it's because of him that I behave like this? When selling pussy, I mean, did you read the quote by Dave Chappelle? I'm going to read that later on in the interview. I'm going to save that. But if that's the case, Red, are we blaming, why are we blaming somebody who, and it's been around way longer than him?
Murder's been around for a very long time. Rape has been around for a very long time. There's been a lot of things been around a very long time. What I want to address and what I want to bring to the attention of the family is that prostitution was not accepted as pop culture until recently, until you had a fall in people, right? Because you become what you despise the most. You know what I'm talking about? You become what you despise the most. So black people or African Americans or Aboriginal, whatever you want to call, had a sense of morality and dignity about themselves. They had a value system prior to the falling of what is known as the black family. Go and read the Moynihan Report. Okay? Go and read the Moynihan report. Go and do the research on LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, whatever his name is, Lyndon Johnson, when he came forward with the social program called Great Society after the murder or the assassination of JFK. We'll be covering that in our lecture coming up January 19th and the 20th in Brooklyn, but we'll get to that. And you will see that there was a social engineering that began to take place in America, specifically aimed at the black family after the black family began to deteriorate. And the parents in this culture that has no parents, have no morals, have no values, and according to Dame Dash, have no love for this culture. And if you could really take a concerted effort to take your emotions out of it and step back and look at the culture, you would see that this culture is very hateful towards the people who are participating in the culture. So everything in moderation. You know what I'm talking about? Mary Magdalene was selling some box for some manna back in the days. All right, cool. But were everybody selling it? No. Was it being pushed? Was it being professed? Were people standing on stages and saying, this is the way to go? Was a grown woman twerking in front of babies? No, that wasn't what was going on. You had what is known as secular music making a breakthrough in the 60s and all of that stuff like that. You know, you had the Dorothy Dangerouses of the world and things like that. But we talking moderation. That wasn't everybody. Now when you look at it, everybody, the top women, I talked about this in a lecture that I did before. You got Cardi B. She used to sell box, bro. She's a prostitute. Okay? Oh, she's an ex-prostitute. She don't sell box no more. Fam, she's selling box or wax. What are you talking about? She just was in Australia twerking in front of a whole bunch of people post-baby. All I want is the money. Our children, some of them might not know how to read, but they're not dumb. They're not that dumb that they don't know how to translate what that means. We live in a pro-prostitution culture. Whole culture is at the top of the Negro pyramid. It's at top of the hip-hop hierarchy. Ooh. Whole culture. Because remember, you got Cardi B, Amber Rose, Kim Kardashian. These women are revered. Black China, all of them are prostitutes. Then, after them, the women who are not necessarily prostitutes are dolls. What do you do with a doll? What do people do? What do people raised up to do with dolls? You play with them and you throw them away. Cuban doll, Cash doll, Dream doll. And they all come from Barbie. They all come from Nikki. Those are Nikki's kids.
The Barbie doll?
Huh? What's the other doll?
No, I said the Barbie doll.
It's
Barbie.
mad dolls out there. And all these dolls are black girls who are plastic, who are running around letting people use them and throw them away like dolls. Who broke up Offset and Cardi's marriage? It was Cuban doll. Okay? So, no. The culture, where it stands right now, it's a hypocrisy for anybody to bump their guns with their fake outrage because they came out with Surviving R. Kelly. What about surviving Def Jam? What about surviving hip-hop or shit-hop? What about surviving trap-hop? Because all of these are maladies in our community right now, because when you turn on the radio, your 2-month, year, day-old child is going to be exposed to whole culture. And they looking at you crazy like, because you acting all sacrilegious because of R. Kelly, but we don't believe you, okay? We don't believe you. We do not believe you, all right? So no, the oldest profession, you know, no, that's not the oldest profession. And the fact that it made a comeback, and black women especially, and women of Latina descent, because they not telling white women to run around and sell their box all day, right? They're telling black women in poverty who can't afford to buy some goddamn a Goyard bag or some MAC makeup, you know what I mean? Turn your box into an ATM. We had how many abortions? The leading cause of death in 2018 was abortions.
I think it was 41 million. Was it 41?
It might be 41, it might be 61. I'm finna find out right now. I'm on Instagram. Okay? So all of those plan Bs, you know what I'm saying? All that bird box. Like I said, self-inflicted homicide, self-inflicted curses, self-inflicted suicide. You can't blame anybody. It's self-inflicted because you were what? You were influenced by influencers. Amber Rose, with all of her millions of followers, she's influencing these. I don't see no women with no smoke for none of these sisters that are out here telling your daughter to be a fucking prostitute. Where's the smoke at? Nobody. I see no women doing the McDonald's beatdown to none of these women that are out here that are influencers that are influencing your babies.
Well, I think what they're saying is there's a difference between sexual freedom and prostitution. That's what they're pushing. Nikki has said that as well as others. They're saying they don't want to be covered in 3/4, but they don't want to be prostitutes at the same time.
Yeah, 41 million.
41 million, yeah.
41 million murders. Right? 41 million deaths in 2018 at the hands. No white man was in that picture. They set it up. Margaret Sanger and them. Remember, what does the devil do? He sets things up, and then he lets your ass walk in the house and burn up. With suggestions, with how the Pied Piper does, by playing the flute and doing what? And hypnotizing you by his sound, by his music, by his melody. You understand? They're up to no good, but you play a part in your own demise. So that's what we seeing. That's what we're seeing. And if anybody acts like whole culture has not taken over this whole hip-hop game, go to Atlanta right now and go bag something. Woo. Go in the mall and bag something. Your first date is going to be Magic Mondays at Magic Cities.
In the strip club.
Facts. You going to Strokers. You going to Follies. You go. So what are you telling me? So people are trying to introduce dignity and morals and values in a whole culture. It doesn't work like that. It don't work like that. Let's be real. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Red, watching a documentary, you keep bringing up this word, whole culture. Watching the documentary and hearing the whether it was R. Kelly's wife or the sister that was in the sex tape, it kind of reminded me. What you said?
Oh, the dancer. Oh, the woman that was in the sex tape.
In the sex tape. Do you remember her name? I don't remember her name.
I don't remember her name.
Okay, so the sister that was in the sex tape, because there was two. There was the 14-year-old, and then there was the older one. She's in the documentary.
Yes.
Listening to them and how R. Kelly operated reminded me of Pimps and Hoes.
Yes.
There was a lot of tears shed in the documentary. Do you feel sorry for these women in the documentary, or do some people feel as though it's a situation where, just like the pimps have one hoe recruit other hoes, it kind of seemed in a way that R. Kelly had some of these women recruit other women. So at the same time they're shedding tears, it seems like they was recruiting women for R. Kelly at the same time.
They most certainly were recruiting other women. That's whole culture. That's how the shit works.
So you don't feel sorry for them, the wife or
I do feel sorry for them. I have a soft spot, and I feel sorry for any woman that gets molested. I have a soft spot for any woman who gets manipulated. Remember, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We talked about it earlier in the segment that these stars are immortals. Especially in impoverished communities like Chicago, especially in impoverished communities like Harlem, right? Especially in impoverished communities all around the world where the church went and took advantage of people. And like I said before, anywhere where the Roman Catholic Church is, they turned that whole country into a third world country. And then you begin to hear stories about manipulation, molestation, pedophilia, rape, prostitute. You go to anywhere where the Catholic Church is running things, and me and you get off the plane, there's going to be child prostitution right in your face. You're going to be on the plane with old white men and old black men and old white women that are going there. It's called a sex industry. So these young women who were manipulated by the stardom of somebody who they were sleeping on, because keep in mind, monsters are revealed behind closed doors. I always said this before. If you can't leave your child with one of your niggas, nigga, that ain't your nigga. That's not your friend.
That's deep, brother. That's deep.
You understand?
Okay.
If you cannot leave them with one of your family members and walk around and not be nervous, that's not your family. That's your relatives. Okay? So, no. He revealed those. They saw them fangs come out when that goddamn door closed. He's a pimp with a soft hand. He's not a gorilla pimp. That nigga turns gorilla behind closed doors. As you can see with his Pied Piper persona and the music and the way he smiles and he's all humble in public, he's a pimp with a velvet glove. Chicago. Nigga, that's a pimp state. Remember Do or Die?
Do you want to
like I said,
ride?
Do you want to ride?
Backseat,
but now with the Savages, with the Chief Keef era, they gorilla pimping these the Kanika Jenkins of the world. They gorilla pimping them. If they out there shooting 500 people with AKs and shit, what you think they doing to them little girls? They rat packing them. So they pushing Cardi on the babies. Cause babies like shit. I want red hair. I want to be in a gang. All right, cool. When you want to get in the Bloods, how you gonna get in as a female?
You gotta get fucked. Gang banged.
You get banged in.
Gang banged.
You get gang banged in. So that's what you tell Ebro Darden at Hot 97, who's the program director, who always got something to say on some fake ass morality stamp. No, you are lame, because you're programming these children to you're diminishing the stocks of our generations. You're making them worthless. You are demoralizing them. And once people are demoralized, there's nothing that you can do with them. You got to throw them away once they get past a certain point of demoralization, because there's certain things that you just can't unsee. Peace, King. There's certain things that you just can't undo. So our culture is demoralizing, desensitizing, and dehumanizing millions of people, as we say. I don't blame China and I don't blame Russia for not wanting this fucking cesspool of negativity to be in their countries. I understand where they're coming from.
Hip-hop being banned in Russia you're referring to.
I understand why there's culture wars against this culture that is being manipulated by the small hats and the people who are historically been shown to deteriorate everything that they touch.
Let me ask you this, Red.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of sisters are saying that, even in the documentary, the founder of Me Too, I believe, we're talking about, it's because these were black women that people don't care. Do you feel it? Does race have anything to do with this? Because some people would say, Hugh Hefner got the whole Playboy mansion and they let that rock. They don't say anything about Hugh Hefner as well, so this ain't even got nothing to do with race. Do you feel as though because these were black women that people are silent, or do you think people are missing the point and it has nothing to do with the fact that they were black women?
American culture is rape culture. American culture is Greco-Roman culture. I'm talking about conformity. We're talking about normalization of sexual deviant acts. They need this community to go through that. They don't went through that. You understand? Go and look at all of the reports. They've been doing that on this continent ever since they got here. Prior to them getting here, they were sexual deviants. They released them from the prisons in the dungeons of Europe and brought them over there, and they magically became pilgrims. They were deviants then, they deviants now. They came into Latin America and raped everything and gave birth to Juan Valdez in them. Them people did not exist before the European touchdown. They came over here, they went into the Dominican Republic, and the Dominican priests and the friars and the Jesuits, they raped the whole country. They went into the South, they went into all of these places. So no, that's their culture. That's what I'm trying to say, that we're participating in a foreign culture. It's not really us. You go on the continent right now, they're doing all kind of sexual deviancy and shit like that. That necessarily might not have been them. You go into Arab culture, they were practicing sexual deviancy and all kind of things like that. Why are they cutting off women's clitorises in Africa? Where does that come from? So all I'm saying is, no, American culture is rape culture. Cowboy, westernized Greco-Roman culture, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, my nigga, that's rape culture. They've been raping, that, what do you think? Rape culture is vampire culture, right? Meaning, if you know the concept of vampirism, then you'll understand the culture of how people get turned out and how they release you into society to turn other people out. So when you do the research on the sex farms, what were they doing on the sex farms? They were buck breaking, bending black men over and breaking them in, right? And then they were also impregnating black women and inseminating their semen into sacred wombs. Because our women would not they would not mix their seed. They had royal wombs. They would not mix their seeds with what they identified as lower ranks or lower stocks or lower pedigrees of different races and nations of people. That was law. So once they break the buck go out and break other people. It's vampire culture. So that is what America is built off of. So when they see black people falling and deteriorating and you become what you despise the most. When they see you becoming savage, they gonna step to the side and let you niggas become savage. Because keep in mind, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing told you, the historic issue between us and them is genetics. So why would they not want to see your genetics deteriorate? Why would they not want to see your people indulge in the death culture, meaning homosexuality and all of these other things? You're just becoming just like them, and they don't have a problem with that. That is part of great society. Like I said, that is a part of the Moynihan Report. That is a part of their social engineering.
Red, do you think when we talk about this, and I hear a lot of people mentioning race when it comes to this this discussion, like I said, a lot of black females mention, white females, a lot of brothers mentioning all the white predators, Harvey Weinstein. Does this seem a little bit like, how when white people do their dirt, they kill somebody black, and we say something, the first thing they say is, what about black on black violence, like Tariq say? Is this similar to that, where we got a predator and we like, what about the white people? Is this the same thing as that? Does this remind you of that, Red?
I don't really know. I mean, what I do know is we fell off when we began to allow everybody to take care of our problems. R. Kelly is nobody else's problem but ours. That drunk uncle that done rape every fucking female in niggas' families, that's our problem. We supposed to deal with him in ways that I can't speak about on YouTube. That's our issue. That's the village's issue. And what happened? They introduced heroin into our community. And then after that, the crack era came. So all of these conversations that y'all having, y'all sound mad goofy. You can't have that in a post-crack era society. It's over. You're living in the fallout of something that you participated in that was putting in your community by forces that don't look like me and you. It's a part of the social engineering. It's a part of great society. Make America great again. It's a part of what Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, George Bush Sr., Ronald Reagan, and all of them, because like Blue Pill reminds you, the job of presidents is domestic policy and foreign policy. And the translation of domestic policy is the nigger problem. How do we deal with these niggas? So stop pointing fingers. The last video that we did, I talked about the enemy within. Stop looking outside, because who could pull up on me and do me more harm than somebody that looks like me? I'm not letting no Peckerwood slide on me. That's not happening. I'm not letting no Becky close to me. I'm not letting white people around me. I'm not in fear of them. I got to worry about these niggas around me, though. Because family members, people that look like you, people that come to you with this fake, you know what I mean? With all of this fake love, those are the people that can hurt you most. The majority of the funerals that I went to, people got taken out by people that was close to them, who looked like them, who shared the same goddamn blood, DNA, and melanin count as them. So no, I don't want to keep bringing up Europe. I mean, We got to cut the damn roots from the tree, but at this point, the whole tree got to come down. Look at that tree, it's still up. They didn't take down the Christmas tree. The whole tree got to come down, okay? The whole tree got to come down. So are we going to solve the issues in black community by exposing the hand that Europeans or Anglo-Saxons play? I don't know, because Negroes been exposing that shit for goddamn centuries. And it seems like the problems in our community have multiplied. So when are we going to form the drop squad? When are we going to form a form of security firms, or form some kind of protection agency, to whereas all of these complaints and all of these infractions that are being levied upon us by people that look like us could be answered and handled by people inside of our society. The Jews got it, the Hasidics in Brooklyn got it, and there's other people that got it. Why we don't got it? Because we're American. So now that we're American, you are going to do what? As Americans, once you got integrated into the burning house and you became card-carrying Americans, you also inherited all of the diseases, all of the malware, and all of the viruses that the program called America has within it. You understand? And we cannot function like this forever. So going back to what I was saying before, if you are honest with yourself in a society that gets demoralized and desensitized and dehumanized to a point where they are completely fallen, you got it. What can you do with them? There's nothing that you can do with them. They are toxic and sick. There's nothing that you could do with them. You have to remove yourself from around them.
Facts.
Because hurt people hurt people.
Indeed.
And when you swim in a toxic cesspool, unless you can hold your breath for that long, you could be in it and not of it. But as we see, a lot of people are becoming of it. So when are we going to have, and ain't it just as easy as packing your bags and going into the tropics, because we see that shit don't work either. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Quick side note, my metaphysicians, real quick. You can vaguely see the Sirius star in the sky. So my metaphysicians out there, I know you're on my channel. Look in the sky, you can see it, man. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that constellation.
Yeah,
right there.
To Sirius.
Okay, moving on. There's a large segment of people who watch YouTube, watch the documentary, may watch the channel, and they hear us talking about women be abused by men, and there's a lot of men out there that say nigga. What about the men that have been abused by women and men? Let's not forget about that. If we're gonna have this Me Too discussion, nigga, me too. You know what I'm saying? So, do you feel, let me give an example, Red. Because we have these ideas about each other as a sex. Men are supposed to be like this, women are supposed to be like that. If a man touches your daughter, kisses her, hugs her, you may say, nigga, what the F is your problem?
Yeah, I'm popping off.
Popping off. Now, if a woman kisses and hugs your son, titties all up in his chin and everything like that, you may think a part of you may think that's normal, and a part of you may be upset. But you're conditioned to think that that's normal because society says that's normal. A lot of men say, no, that's just not normal. That's how the teachers molest our boys. You don't hear about as many male teachers molesting female students as you hear about female teachers molesting male students.
That's right.
So the female students, their ability to be, what's that word? Not emotional. When they're touchy. What do you want to call that?
Touchy-feely.
Yeah, that's normal. Like you could be huggy when you could. Is that normal? Do you see anything wrong? Is that something wrong within our culture, Red?
I mean, me and you spoke about this about a year or two ago, and I brought up the fact that when I went to my son, I went to my son's school, and I noticed that the teachers was very affectionate with my son. He was 10 years, he's 11, but he was like 10 years old. And I was like, that's kind of, that's like weird and you know what I mean? Like that didn't rub me the right way.
Right.
And I said to my son, like, you can't be letting nobody touch you. Because at the end of the day, molestation is molestation. If that lady takes you in a room and fondles you or gives you some oral sex, you're going to be traumatized, and that could potentially make you a predator. You know, we don't focus on that because amongst men, that's a high five. Oh, look at my little boy. He got them grown-ass women on him and whatnot. But you can't say the same thing if they on your daughter. If some grown-ass lesbians is on your daughter or some grown-ass men is on your daughter, then you're going to feel the weight. You're going to be like, what the hell? You understand? So any kind of adults showing affection towards a child and it's not theirs, that shit needs to be halted and checked. Bottom line. Because we're talking about the psyche, we're talking about the psychology of innocent children that can be affected for a lifetime. Oh, your son is so cute. Oh, he's so this and this and that. I understand, miss. But at the end of the day, your position as a teacher is not to tell me that my son is cute. You understand? That's not your role. So, you know, my son doesn't need that kind of attention. That is because if your son gets comfortable with a grown-up fondling him and touching him and things of that nature, then that's a doorway. That could be an opening to let men come in and other people and other older people. So hell no. You know, as fathers who have sons who, you know, get a lot of attention by women and whatnot, we should be very cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of molestation and a lot of rape and a lot of other things that do take place with grown women and young boys. And that has psychological effects that last into their adulthood. So I do not encourage that. Not at all.
Indeed. Okay, so Red, so early in the interview, when I was talking about the sister that was on the sex tape and she was in they called it the Colorado room, the infamous sex tape room.
Yes.
You said you felt sorry for her. Do you also feel sorry for being manipulated by R. Kelly? Do you also, Red Pill, feel sorry for R. Kelly for being molested when he was younger, since you feel sorry for the woman by being molested by R. Kelly?
At the end of the day, you know, anybody that gets, I said it in the segment, that anybody who's been molested, anybody who's been taken advantage of sexually, anybody who's been, you know, because at the end of the day,
I'm sorry, because it seems like everybody got an excuse for being a molester. Hey,
No
this
doubt.
happened to me. Hey,
No doubt.
you're a woman. Oh, I feel sorry for you. The pimp. So R. Kelly like, nigga, I got molested. Oh, but
No
they don't
doubt.
feel sorry for R. Kelly.
No doubt. It's
I
a
just
bad-
want us
like
to
I
feel
said-
sorry for everybody.
like I said,
If we're going to feel sorry for everybody.
In this community, I've spoken out against sexual predators, put my life on the line, and spoke out against it.
Yes.
It's a vampire culture, like I was explaining earlier. It's if you could understand the concept
Of a
of
vampire.
vampirism,
Yes.
from like Interview with a Vampire, Lost Boys,
True Blood.
True Blood. Once you get bitten, you go into society and you
be
begin
biting.
to bite others.
Yes, yes.
So, do I feel sorry for the person before they got bit? I would be a hypocrite to say that I don't. So, of course, you know, of course I do. What I want to address is the reluctancy of our community and our village and our culture to not protect, one, to not even communicate about it. Why does it take Lifetime to come out with Surviving R. Kelly for you niggas to finally have this conversation? That's all I want to know. And it's always been in our community before I was born. So at the end of the day, you know, yeah, I feel sorry for that man. You know what I'm talking about? He said that he got molested by a man. Him and his brother.
He said a man? He said a man?
He said a man at first in his neighborhood. Then the babysitters was doing what they was doing, who happened to be women and whatnot. They were molesting him. So he basically he was being dehumanized, deflowered or whatever. And he was basically being programmed to be who he is today. They said that he's a monster. That was the definition that these women gave. They said that he's a monster. So, monsters ain't just born monsters. You feel me? Monsters are created. And when you do the psychological profile of people that are on death row, predicates that's running around with the red ID, people that are quote unquote the shooters and whatnot, people that are doing life right now, you're gonna find a lot of markers that are familiar, and a lot of that shit deals with trauma, a lot of it deals with neglect, a lot of it deals with molestation and sexual abuse. You know what I'm talking about? So,
you know, Red, we as a black community, we reminisce a lot. And I believe I asked this question to Professor Griff, a similar question to Professor Griff before. We reminisce a lot on the concept of when the village used to raise the child.
yeah.
It seems as though when the village used to raise the child, molestation was happening at an all-time high.
That's
Do you
right.
think when the village raised the child, when the uncles was watching your niece, when auntie was with your little son, do you think that was because that came right after slavery, right after segregation, right after Jim Crow, right after we was being raped, right after we was being molested, right after all that? Do you think that was a failed experiment to have the village raise the child after a community been through so much oppression at that time, Red Pill?
Wow. That's an interesting story. You know, right now the TV raises the child and the internet, Disney, Nickelodeon, you know, Leaping Frog, MTV, Viacom, Fox, NBC, you know, they're raising the children, the latchkeys. Was the experiment of the village raising a child a failure? No. I won't necessarily say that it was a failure overall. I would say that there were elements within those days and age, that period of time, that definitely was a failure. You know, the drunk uncle, the fact that a lot of molestation and abuse was taking place and nobody addressed it. They were actually stories of family members shielding and protecting
Yes.
the molester, the predator, against the wishes of the ones who were being molested, and then criticizing them. Oh girl, you all fast, and you know, kicking them out the house. I don't believe you. You know, what was you doing to bring that about? Why did you make that happen? You know, making the victimizing the victim even more. So I won't necessarily blame that on the village though. You feel me? We had some rotten apples and some sick puppies in our community, but the village definitely did not step up when it came time to penalize and when it came time to, to basically levy a form of penalty. We didn't have a penalty system set up in our community to where molesters and predators felt unsafe. Those men, because remember, like my father's generation and my grandfather's generation before that, they were known as men's men, meaning that these niggas was tough. But as tough as they were, you know what I mean, and as manly as they were, they didn't put them paws and hands on the predators that were in our families and whatnot. And I don't know why, bro. I really don't know why at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, you know. But I know that it has a fallout effect right now, and we're living in the remnants of that nightmare, bro. God damn it, 80% to this day, 80% of the women who I've dealt with, 80% of the women who I've dealt with have confessed that they've been molested, fam. Like, and I'm like, all right, what happened to the molester? They like, he's still walking around. Or he died, but he ain't died because of that. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy, you know? But we need the village, fam. We still need the village. I won't give up on the village. I won't throw the village away because our children being raised by the television and their iPhones, that's not it right there. putting our children in these daycare centers where they turn them into like ultimate warrior fight academies and breaking the bones of children and sexually molesting them there, where there's lesbianism, there's LBGT inside of the daycare now. You know what I'm talking about? You got AGs, it's like you got like 3-year-old lesbians running up on other little girls. So to just leave them with strangers who got a certificate from the state to say that they could watch your children, nah. We need the village, bro. My question is, nah, never mind.
I got one more question, my brother. I appreciate the interview. Magnificent interview. I hope it sheds light. A very heavy interview, and I hope some people could get some clarity, get some solutions, and I hope some people could resolve their issues because of not only the documentary, but because of this interview as well as other things. We're in a culture in particular, Red Pill, where we're trying to figure out answers and solutions. And trying to figure it out, we get so many different versions of the answers. You got to do this, brother. You got to do this. No, this is the answer. There's 1,000 solutions, possible solutions to a problem.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the pimp hoe game, right? We're talking about R. Kelly, and we're talking about him having hoes recruit other hoes, and we're talking about Chicago and all of this. But what I want to talk to you about, brother, is that there's different versions of that. So the Catholic Church has their version.
Yes.
Let's talk about, real quick, not the conscious community, but peace. But what we may consider woke or I don't know, the spiritual community. I don't know what community you may consider this, but when we talk about polygamy, sometimes from when I hear it, a lot of times it turns into a pimp hoe game, in which the sisterhood is a code word for lesbianism, and the brother has one girl come in, acts on the other girl, recruiting other women. So in terms of your community, brother, I see you wear the red, black, and the green, and you look fancy and you look pro-black. But is polygamy just another version of what R. Kelly is doing, my brother? In which women are doing lesbian acts with each other, and it's just pimp hoe at the end of the day.
I can't necessarily say that because, I'm not in a polygamous relationship, and, I'm not in nobody else's polygamous relationship. I don't know what they doing. I don't know what goes on. You know what I'm talking about? Like, what I do know is our culture outside of the polygamy, but hip-hop culture, the culture that we belong to, the shit that I'm seeing online and things of that nature, I know that they promote homosexuality heavy. They promote lesbianism heavy. And I know that a lot of women are practicing that preference these days unabashed. So I won't necessarily jump out the window and say that. You have Islamic polygamy, you have Africans that are practicing polygamy, you have brothers and sisters that are in Islam, adherents to Islam, practice polygamy. I'm not 100% sure about all of that. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not 100% sure about all that.
Indeed. Indeed. Red, I guess just leaving us with your last comments, your thoughts on, just the whole conversation within itself, my brother.
I don't want anybody to be misconstrued with what was going on in this exchange between me and Brother Rich. There's a lot of healing that needs to take place amongst a lot of people who are damaged, a lot of people who are hurt, a lot of people who've been done wrong, and they're searching for some form of justice. And, hopefully you can find that. You know what I'm talking about? And hopefully you can find some sort of you can find some sort of solstice is what they call it. To heal. Because like I've said, I bear witness to the psychological effects of what this shit can do to a person's mind and their spirit, broken spirits, alter egos, People who have multiple personalities because they've been ravished and they've been raped and they've been molested as little children and whatnot, and they got all of these different persons in them, like the movie Split, shattered. You know, people who have shattered spirits as a result of being broken into multiple pieces by demonic forces. I pray for you. I feel for you. You know, I send you love and light. And for anybody that says that that's simping, you niggas is devils. Like, you're demonic and you need help. You need to deal with your core issues. You understand? You might have some R. Kelly in you. You know, I don't want to just make it an R. Kelly thing. What me and Rich do is we take these hot button topics and we use it as teaching moments.
Facts.
I see a bigger picture at play. I see a whole goddamn culture that's spiraling out of control. I'm not a puritanical priest. My hands are not necessarily like, you know, I fuck with ratchet sometimes in life. Like, I'm part of the same culture that I'm denouncing. You understand? But at the end of the day, I know from first-hand experiences the detriment of the culture. I know from first-hand experience how the culture could be very toxic. So I'm appealing to those of us that are participants in the culture, even those of us who create and mold the culture, even those of us who are trendsetters in the culture. Be brave. Do something different. You understand? Be a part of the healing rather than a part of the hurting and whatnot. You know, I have a daughter, so I'm very responsible. I'm more responsible today than I might have been yesterday when it comes to, you know, what part do I play in either being a liability or an asset in the healing of our people. And that's all I could say. You feel me? So
thank you, my brother.
And I also want to leave you with this for the family that has always been asking us, when are we going to do something in New York City? I got a lot of people to pull up on me, and we're going to be doing a 2-day event, January 19th, January 20th, the day before the blood moon, which is January 21st. We'll be at Nicholas Bookstore, Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. We're going to be doing Red and Blue Pill, both of us, on both days, back to back. We're going to be sharing the stage, giving you information that you probably never heard. The first day is the three-headed monster, the war on poverty, the war on drugs, and the war on terror, which is terra firma. And all of the stuff that we're talking about right now, we'll be covering that. And the next day is the blood moonologues, and we going all the way in. Metaphysics, occult, information, current events. Pull up, $44 for both days. Live stream available. Eventbrite, hashtag Twin Pillars. Love and light to the family. Thank you everybody that has been supporting the Garvey collection on Kings County. You know what I'm talking about? Thank you everybody that's been supporting us. You know, y'all kept me busy, and I you know, I like being busy. So continue to keep me busy, and I appreciate every single one of you. Love and light to the family. Huh? Oh, you could get this on Kings County. KINGZKOUNTY.BigCartel. And I also launched a new site, KNGZKNTY.com. So you don't got to deal with all of the vowels and stuff like that. But pull up to the site, check it out. We got a whole bunch of new stuff. Love and light to the family. And you know, let me hear your thoughts. But please, let's not be that judgmental, and let's not be, you know, let's be respectful of people who are out here hurting. All right? Love and light to the family. Peace.
Peace, family.